Let's bring in our think tank tonight, get a little bit of perspective on this story. Joining us tonight, Deborah Blum, criminal defense attorney, is with us. Titus Nichols, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, and Jamie White, trial attorney. Great to have everyone here. I'm going to start with Titus because former prosecutor. The family here, Titus, talking about what they want to see done here. I mean, some of them have watched the video. I don't know if all of them have watched the video, but those that have, they want murder charges against all four officers, all four that were there. Your thoughts?
Vinny, I think it's absolutely horrific that here we are once again, less than 3 weeks later, talking about the same two subjects, a black man being murdered and justice being denied to him and his family. I agree with the family completely. Those four murderers, that's what they are. They've been fired. They're no longer police officers, but murderers should be prosecuted the same as if they did not have a badge. Specifically, you have the issue of you have the one officer who kept his knee on the neck of Mr. Floyd, and then you have the three other officers who saw this was happening, knew this was against their training, but did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, Titus, the other part of this, I mean, we take a look at cases every night here on CourtTv, and there are some situations that are so dangerous and so tense, and you see officers reacting. What I see on that video is nothing like that. I mean, the surveillance video that's now been released, before he's on the ground, you see him sitting there and seemingly compliant. He's not running away anywhere. I mean, there are so many dangerous situations that I've seen on video. This just wasn't one of them.
And let's be very clear, Vinny, this was not a one-on-one situation where it was one police officer who had to defend himself against a physically resisting suspect. There were four police officers against one unarmed individual. What's even more interesting is when you read the police report, they completely leave out the fact that they had to use their knee on the back of a person's neck. If it wasn't for this video, they would have completely left out that fact and simply would have said, well, we have no idea why he was unresponsive inside of the paramedics. As you stated before, this was not a situation where he was violent, where he had a weapon, where he was continuing to attack people. He was on the ground saying, I can't breathe. At the very least, you could have checked on him to find out what was he in distress and if something was going on with him.
What potential types of charges do you think prosecutors may be looking at in this case?
Depending on how that state characterizes, this is definitely going to be a murder with intent to carry out the murder. You see the officer is there for at least 10 minutes, maybe even more, with his knee on the neck of the man, ignores his cries out for help, and you see his hand in his pocket, and from what you can tell, he's flexing his arm, so possibly applying more pressure to the knee. So there is no situation where he thought this was an accident. And I'm pretty sure you've already had your expert discussing how within the continuum of force, this is on the far side and it was completely unnecessary. I don't see the prosecutor being satisfied with just an involuntary manslaughter. Here, this is intentional murder.
What can our system do that would, to some extent, let the public and community that's outraged at the end of the day say, okay, it was horrible, it was, but at the end of the day, justice was served?
And Vinny, I think a bigger issue here is the fact that you can't train compassion. And while, yes, we need to increase the training for law enforcement, there's also the recognition of the value of black life. Far too often, whenever there is a violent murder involving a black victim, the perpetrator is always given the benefit of the doubt. You have Philando Castile, in which that man was a lawful owner of a gun. He was shot and killed in a car with his girlfriend and child, yet his murderer was never brought to justice. And here you have a situation where George Floyd was not violently opposing law enforcement, yet that police officer didn't even see him as a human being and put his knee on his neck like he was some type of animal. You can provide all the training you want. You can provide all the seminars and diversity courses you can want. But until society recognizes the value of black life as being equal to everyone, you're going to have similar situations like these, just in different forms.